Trust me, you mean a lot more to people than you could ever possibly understand. We tend to make the mistake of thinking that we are insignificant little specks in this world, but that could not be further from the truth. People tend to take such a bleak look at their life. They see what they accomplish and are disappointed because they aren't a great inventor or a great author. They think that they have failed to make any mark on the world and are crestfallen that nothing they do seems to matter. Instead of looking at that, look at the effects you have made on people. Once you look at it that way, you will realize that you have made a tremendous difference, and those differences will carry on to eternity. I want you to do a little experiment to show how big an effect people have on one another. Think about how many people in your life made a difference in who you are. It could be words they said or actions they took that really just changed in some part the person you are today. I want you to really think about it. I bet there are people on your list that you didn't expect to be there. And I think that's how it is with most people. And I can ensure that even if you don't think you are, you have affected people in those profound ways without realizing it. It's easy to underestimate how much of an effect you've had in people's lives. You know, one of the most important things I've ever heard, and one of the things that has allowed me to keep going on, is something I heard in a probability class during undergrad. You'd probably think it was some deep thing that the professor spent hours writing, but I'm pretty sure it was just some throwaway line that he didn't intend to have any deep meaning attached to it. The class was on stochastic processes, and to describe them, he said, "Given the present, the past, and the future are independent." It's a rather succinct description of a Markov process, and I'm sure that's how he intended us to take it. It was simply a pithy little way to remember what a Markov chain was. But it meant so much more than that to me. Every time I think of the mistakes I've made getting to where I am now, I'm reminded of that quote, and I realize that those mistakes don't matter. All that matters is where I am now. And I've shared that quote with many people I know. So, no matter what happens to him, some small part of him is living on with that quote, and me and everyone that I tell the quote to. Then you realize that the people I tell, some of them will go on to tell others, and will continue on in this way. That is immortality. And yet, for all that influence he had on my life, if I was to introduce myself to him or mention that quote to him today, I bet that he would be hard-pressed to remember it. I think that is the reason that we feel so inconsequential. We are looking for these mighty oaks that we have planted, and are disappointed that we cannot find them. But you don't plant a mighty oak. A mighty oak grows from a tiny acorn. The influence we have in this world is the small little kernels of goodness that we put out into the world. We might not realize that we are doing it, or even if we do realize it, we think it is such a small thing that it doesn't really count. It doesn't mean anything, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Maybe it doesn't mean anything to you, and maybe to you it is just some small, insignificant token gesture. And hell, for many people you do it for, it might also not mean too much. But some people will be profoundly affected by it. If you are ever feeling like you don't matter, just think of all the people whom you are incredibly important to and have helped in more ways than you can imagine. These might be your friends, your family, they might be your work colleagues, or they might be some random stranger that you barely interacted with, or anyone in between. I've had people come up to me and thank me before, and I often look at them and have no idea who they are. They'll then tell me I helped them adopt their dog or their cat, and they'll show me a picture. I'll remember the animal since they were someone I'd spent time with, but the human will often always at best be nothing more than a vague recollection. When I was a grad student, I had a few students come up to me years after I taught their class and thank me for helping them, and again, I barely recognized them. We are so good at recognizing the help and the influence that other people have had in our lives, but we can never manage to see the good that we do. As long as you do the best you can and strive to do good, your life has a profound impact and meaning in this world.